Good evening, visitors. Welcome to the Australian War Memorial's last post ceremony. My name is Troy Clayton, and joining us today from the Royal Australian Navy is Lieutenant Marie Altham. We warmly welcome the family of Sergeant Graham Montgomery Walker, whose story will be told shortly. We also warmly welcome Group Captain Alan George, retired, representing the Air Force Association. We welcome the veterans who have served, those that are still serving, and the families that love and support them. The live stream of this ceremony is made possible by the Return and Services League of Australia and the RSL and Services Club Association. We warmly welcome members who are watching the broadcast of this ceremony across Australia. During this evening's ceremony, wreaths will be laid at the base of the Pool of Reflection by family and visitors to the memorial. If you're able, please stand and join in singing the National Anthem. Thank you. If you're able, please be seated. The Australian War Memorial was the vision of Charles Bean, Australia's First World War official historian. Bean landed with the Australian troops on Gallipoli and stayed with them at the front through to the end of the war. The idea of this national memorial and museum came to him at Pozières, France, in the depths of the bloody fighting of 1916. Bean's idea was that this would be a place where families and friends could mourn their loved ones buried in faraway places. It would also be a place that could help all Australians understand what these men and women had endured and what they had done for us. Bean's vision, to which we remain true, is best expressed as inscribed in the entrance to the memorial's galleries. Here is their spirit, in the heart of the land they loved, and here we guard the record which they themselves made. Tonight, we'll read the story behind just one of those on the Roll of Honour, which lists the names of more than 103,000 men and women who have given their lives for us in war and on operations for more than a century. But first, we present a lament, Flowers of the Forest. Wreaths or floral tributes will now be laid at the base of the Pool of Reflection.
Today we remember and pay tribute to Sergeant Graham Montgomery Walker. Graham Walker was born in Perth on the 24th of October 1916, the second of three sons born to accountant Colin Walker and his wife Constance. Graham received his education at Perth Boys School and was a keen sportsman, playing cricket and golf. As a young man, Graham developed an interest in early wireless technology and began studying radio engineering at Perth Radio School. He later gained employment working as a radio service mechanic for a local company, CS Beatty & Co. In 1937, he met his future wife, Margaret Drake, nicknamed Peggy. The two were married the following year on the 13th of April and welcomed their first child, Graham, in November. At the outbreak of the Second World War in 1939, Graham was working for Country Services Limited, installing and maintaining radios. Graham Walker volunteered to join the Citizens Air Force on the 20th of May 1940, bearing a letter of recommendation from his employer which read, "Of all the young men I have met in many years, I award him pride of place, a splendid character. He is exceedingly well informed, is absolutely honest and truthful, and could be depended on not to do his duty in all circumstances." He trained in the reserves for 5 months until he was accepted to join the Royal Australian Air Force in September 1940. After initial training in Victoria in May 1941, he travelled to Mount Gambier, South Australia, where he studied at Air Observer School. He embarked for active service from Sydney on 20th of January 1942, bound for England. On his arrival in early March, Walker was attached to No. 10 Squadron based in Mountbatten near Plymouth. After undertaking further special instruction on operational radio equipment, Walker was remustered as a wireless maintenance mechanic. He qualified as air gunner before being appointed to the rank of sergeant. Equipped with Sunderland flying boats, No. 10 Squadron was tasked with locating and destroying German submarines, as well as undertaking air-sea rescue, transport missions and convoy duties. Walker's early operations took him around the Bay of Biscay, hunting German submarines, moving from bases in France to the Atlantic. Assigned to the crew of U for Uncle, Walker flew 22 anti-submarine patrols. He eventually fell ill, contracting bronchial pneumonia in 1943. Returning to active duty in May, he was assigned to a new aircraft, F for Freddy. His first operational flight in the new aircraft took place on 20th of May 1943. Taking off from Mountbatten at 5:20 a.m, Walker and his comrades were detailed to carry out anti-submarine patrols. Eventually, they reached the coast of Eddystone, from where the Coast Guards reportedly saw their aircraft explode. A destroyer was dispatched to the area to search for the crew, but there were no survivors. The cause of the accident was unable to be established. Station Command theorised that a fuel leak or faulty depth charge setting was to blame, while a friend of Walker's suggested that the aircraft had been hit by fire from a flak-equipped U-boat. Only 2 bodies were recovered from the wreckage. Sergeant Walker's remains were never found. Today, he is commemorated on the Runnymede Memorial in Surrey, England, among more than 20,000 of the Air Forces who have no known grave. Sergeant Walker's son, Graham, who is here today, noted that his father put aside his civilian life with the hopes and aspirations that he held for his young family, simply to do what is regarded as his duty. He did not glorify war, nor regard him as particularly brave. Although he knew the dangers, he preferred not to dwell on them. Graham Walker was 26 years old. He never had the opportunity to meet his infant son, Michael. His name is listed on the Roll of Honour to my left, among almost 40,000 Australians who died while serving in the Second World War. His photograph is displayed today at the Pool of Reflection. This is but many of the stories of service and sacrifice told here at the Australian War Memorial. We now remember Sergeant Graham Montgomery Walker, who gave his life for us, for our freedoms, and in the hope of a better world.
Please stand for the reading of the Ode and the sounding of the last post.
They shall not grow old as we that are left grow old. Age shall not weary them, nor the years condemn. At the going down of the sun and in the morning, we will remember them.
We'll remember them.
Lest we forget.
Lest we forget. We leave you this evening with the words of the memorial's founder, Charles Bean. Many a man lying out there at Pozières or in the low scrub of Gallipoli, with his poor, tired senses barely working through the fever of his brain, has thought in his last moments, well, it's over. But in Australia, they will be proud of this. Ladies and gentlemen, girls and boys, that concludes the last post ceremony. On behalf of the director, staff and volunteers, thank you for visiting the Australian War Memorial today and for your continued support during the memorial's development project. We wish you all a very pleasant evening. Thank you.